impossible for me not to fall in love with you, baby. Yeah. Well, it's got to be tonight, baby. Be tonight. It's got to be tonight. Yo, let's do it, baby girl. Gotta do it like that, yo. Tell me that you want me. Tell me that you need me. Tell me that you love me tonight. Tell me that you want me. Tell me that you need me. Tell me that you love me tonight. Tell me that you want me. Tell me that you need me. Tell me that you love me tonight. No! Tell me that you want me. Tell me that you need me. Tell me that you love me tonight. Tell me that you want me. Tell me that you need me. Go ahead, baby. Tell me that you love me tonight. Get on down for you, baby, listen. Oh, help me, baby, to understand just what I got to do to be your man, baby. I'll be your little puppy dog. Oh, just tell me when to come, baby, I'm there. At your beck and call, baby, there. Baby, you've been on my mind for so long. Oh, I need you. Hey, yeah, baby, yo, I'll be there. Baby, you've been on my mind for so long. Oh, I need you. It goes
Alright, what's up, guys? We are live with the first episode of Co-Commentary. I'm joined here with Webs. Unfortunately, due to some technical issues, we weren't able to get the live video stream, but you are blessed with this wonderful photo that he provided me instead. Webs, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I think this is better than live.
Yeah, it's better.
This is an improvement, yeah. I look like shit right now.
Yeah, so we are just gonna get straight into it. I know we talked earlier about coordinating this, so I know your first experience in esports was in the MLG era. Do you draw any inspiration from your Halo days, and what does your learning process usually look like?
When you say learning process, what do you mean in particular? Just like in general?
Yeah, I would say approaching a new game per se, or any new task. Like, how do you break it down?
So, I mean, when I was going to MLG stuff, I was playing Halo way back in the day. I was probably like, I don't know, 16, 17. And I just played free-for-alls. Like, I didn't play the team variations at all at any of the tournaments or online or whatever. Like, I played with some of my friends casually, but
Mm-hmm.
um, I don't know if I would really count that as esports, like, for me. Um, I would say that actually the first, like, legitimate foray into, like, anything esports related was when I was in college. I went to NIU, and there was the StarCraft 2 league, the Collegiate Star League,
Mm-hmm.
that's what they called it.
So CSL's been
I
around
don't
for a
know.
while then.
Is this still around? Does it still exist?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have
No,
idea.
CSL actually runs the melee gigs too.
Yeah, I heard that a few years ago, but I don't really know what's
Yeah.
going on with the melee games these days. And that was like the first experience that I had with like organized like games, like as far as competing and stuff goes. As far as like a structural standpoint, because I would just like play Halo casually, and then I would just go to that local MLG Chicago tournament because the only one that was remotely near to me.
Right.
But with the other one, it was more like there was like a team environment. It was like you had all the people you played with at your school, and there was like people who kind of like led events and like scheduled things. And, so that was cool and interesting, and something that was neat to be a part of, and definitely inspirational as far as going forward and continuing to like seek out more from a game community. As far as like learning process, I don't know. I've never actually explicitly thought too much about like my particular learning process. It's just I tend to, I don't know, encounter issues and then resolve them. I don't know. That's a very general question. I'm having difficulty.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
An answer.
It was meant to be more like a historical type deal, anyways. But yeah, okay.
For sure.
We'll jump into the commentary questions, the juicy stuff. We'll start with the basics. What was your first commentary event, and how did you feel going into it? And what advice can you give to people that want to start?
Well, the first time that I was like commentating was at the old Chicago locals.
Like EXP and Wave Dash Wednesdays?
Exactly.
Yeah.
At the original venue in 2014. Back then, Zwarm and Oro they had just started doing what was the local stream at the time, which was Windy City Smash.
Right. WCS.
Yeah.
Shout out to the old G's, dude.
Yeah. Back in the days, they used to get hosted by VGBC on Wednesday nights, which would be like a ton of viewers.
Yeah.
But I mean, they would just like show up to the local events. Like, I think they may have streamed one of Sweet's College of DuPage tournaments. Can't remember, but they just had like I think it was just Worm's PC, and they would just bring it.
Yeah.
And they had like a standing mic that was a decent quality. It wasn't that great. At least it captured audio, but it captured like too much audio. Like it got all the background noise and everything. You could still hear people.
Right. It was a very small venue too. So.
Yeah, it was a pretty small venue. It would get really loud in there.
Yeah. And
they would just set it up, and like at first people would just like come and rotate and just like sit down. And when I first was going, there was like maybe I don't know, 16 people. It was like a big local. Like sometimes it was like 10 people only. So there weren't like a lot of people. So most people were just playing instead of commentating. So the commentary desk was like always open.
So you just sat down.
And I was like, dude, I was so bad at the time. I actually didn't know anything, but I would just sit down and I would just like talk about what I was seeing on screen and just get hyped for shit because I hadn't encountered things before, you know. And especially because this was right when PM was starting to crescendo and like get right towards the apex of its popularity.
Yeah, WCS used to be like big into PM. Like that was
almost we were one of the
the
big PM streams. That's true.
It was almost like the main stream for a while, like over Melee, which is crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, PM was getting much larger numbers than Melee for quite a while in 2000. 2013, probably
Mhm.
like late 2013, all the way up to like maybe early 2015, depending on where you are.
Yeah.
Um, shit, maybe it was like late 2015 for some of the Chicago locals. PM was still getting a ton of
Mhm.
people.
And a lot of the PM dev team was actually located in Chicago.
It's true. I mean, the PM Div team was massive. So
Yeah.
they were all over the
Enormous.
place. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that's the first time you could say that I did commentary.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like I had watched like obviously professional commentary to some extent. Um, Mostly I had just seen like some Scar and Toph stuff at the time, and like some of just like the random old head commentary. Um, People who I didn't even really know who they were at the moment. So I just kind of imitated a little bit of like what Scar and Toph did
Mm-hmm.
early on.
As do a lot of commentators starting off.
Yeah, I mean, there was like them. Oh, actually, no. The first commentary team that I watched was D1 in Prague. Um,
Mm.
yeah. Okay.
That's an OG duo.
Yeah, they were the ones who I actually modeled my initial commentary off. Now that I think about
That's
it.
good to model off of. They have really good macro awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, they kind of like the call and response nature of commentary, how like people talk back and forth like a
Mhm.
structured manner. Um, that's like something that they did better than most. They definitely did better than anyone at the time they were doing it, which is why they were doing all like the top spots.
That actually segues perfectly into my next question, though. So, like, Summit seemed like it was a really great experience for you. Congratulations, by the way. Um,
Yeah, it
but
was fun.
the quadcasting style is something that's definitely like super unique to that event.
Hmm.
So I know you got your first big break with like a solo commentary block at Big House, right?
Solo commentary.
I think you mentioned a solo commentary block, right?
Yeah, that was at Evo. Evo
Oh, that was at Evo,
2014.
right. My mistake.
Yeah, that's all
Um,
right.
so my question is, how is adjusting to sharing the mic with 3 to 4 other casters when the standard is usually just one other?
Um, I actually, I don't know. It doesn't really bother me too much to like switch between a different number of people that I'm commentating with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have too much of an issue just like speaking when I feel like I have something like of value to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the first time I ever did a TriCast was last year at Full Bloom. Like I had never done one before. I did half of top 8 there with Vish and Homemade Waffles. Well, both are dudes who I'm very comfortable commentating with. Like
Yeah.
I've commentated tons of blocks with both of them. We have pretty good synergy. Um, so like that before that I had only done regular duo blocks and then occasional solo blocks.
Mm-hmm.
So and I think that went great when all three of us were up the first half of that.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that's really unique to TriCasts, though. Like you have to be having like a certain level of synergy, like pre-existing friendship or closeness with your casters.
Yeah, I think for the most part that's true. It's not necessarily that you have to; it just makes it way easier, right?
Yeah, and I feel
Um,
like in TriCast formats, it's a lot easier for things to fall apart.
yeah. It's the problem is that typically when things do fall apart, it's not because individuals are making mistakes, but because one person is like making a mistake. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like some people are not being able to speak as much because one person is talking too
right.
frequently, or like they're just not on the same energy level. So one person's getting really excited about things.
Yeah, it's harder to
Like,
find that balance.
yeah, and it's okay if one person is like shouting or being like reacting to things, and the other person is like talking. But they should both be like reacting to the same thing at least. Sometimes it's
Right.
just not. It'll be completely different. So I mean, I see what you're saying, but like I feel like I also did totally fine with people who I have never spoken with before on 4-person commentary
Mhm.
couch too. I think it just goes back to like you'll notice if you watch some of the sets, there'll be times where I don't speak for like quite a long time. And I was talking to Lovage about this actually at Summit too, because we had one couch that we were on with IBDW and me and Oscar and Nez, and like it was pretty good overall, but Nez and IBDW kept clashing over facts
I
between
did
the
notice
matchup.
that.
Yeah, they both were like, and then they would get in these little arguments, and it would kind of like kill the momentum.
Yeah,
No one would really
and
know what to
something
say
about
after that.
yeah, I mean something about Nez is like I know that he's had like minor beef with IBDW in the past before, so maybe
Oh, word.
yeah,
I didn't even know about that.
maybe that might have been a factor.
Oh shit. Smash World Star.
Yeah,
But I mean, I don't like when I commentate. I don't try to like say shit on that is like I don't try to waste my breath.
hmm
If I'm saying something, I feel like that it genuinely adds value. Like if I make a joke, I feel like hopefully at least like I don't know. Maybe sometimes I can be selfish with my jokes because they're for me. Think
right.
of something that I think is funny, right? Instead of what the general audience. But like I feel like I have a pretty broad sense of humor.
Right, and I feel like humor is like something that's so risky on commentary sometimes. 'Cause
Yeah,
you,
in
you
general,
risk looking
you
like
have
a
to be
jackass
careful.
sometimes, you know.
Yeah, you just have to do it correct. You can't overstep. And you always have to know your limit and like be aware
Yeah.
too, because like it's fun to sometimes like get a little sidetracked, but
Right.
the way in my estimation, you should really remain focused on the primary reason that people are there to watch the stream,
Mhm.
which is the purpose of a stream. Typically, when you're commentating, is that it's a serious tournament and there's stakes in the line. Yada yada yada. Obviously, depending on the context of the situation, it can be better to like make jokes and goof off and stuff. And obviously, in Summit, like that has an amazing place.
Right.
It's really well there.
Yeah, I love the casual nature of it.
Yeah, that's one of the defining things.
Yeah, it's definitely a
Um,
place where you can kind of show off your personality a bit more.
Yeah, and I think that's also what makes to bring it all the way back to your original question. That's what makes the 4-person couch environment work at
Mhm.
Summit too. Like it wouldn't work if you had a 4-person commentary doing like Genesis top 8.
No, no
There's
chance
just
at
not
all,
enough
dude.
room to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. So
Less sets to work with too.
yeah,
That's actually your point you made about value added is a perfect segue actually. So let's talk about
2 for 2 on segues.
Yeah, you're nailing these, man. All right, let's talk about
Let's go,
value
baby.
added as a commentator then. One of the most common questions that comes up when I'm giving advice or in commentary discords is how we as commentators should be responding to lulls or silences during matches. You know, I have my own thoughts on this, but as like someone who's been in the game for so long, like what do you tend to do in these spots when there is a silence or maybe what can be perceived as like a lull in the match?
So like a silence as in like dead air, and then a lull in the match as in like there's a slow campy set going on and there's
Yeah.
not very much
Yeah.
interaction happening.
Yeah, let's start with dead air first, and then we'll go into that.
Dead air is something I actually don't even think about.
Yeah, I noticed that with you. You're okay with
Melee's-
silence.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's fine. Like, if there's nothing to say, then you shouldn't force it.
Mhm.
That's where people start nice backing. It's when people get on autopilot on commentary, when they like feel like they have to be saying things about what's happening, but they don't have anything that they think is interesting enough to say, though, so they will just like revert to like a cliche or just like something
hmm
like that. But it's okay if you don't have something specifically interesting to say to just let them reminisce it. Like, I typically find that when I'm commentating, there's too many things that I want to say for there to be too much dead silence.
hmm
Sometimes during solo commentary, there'll be a moment where I'll be focused on a particular sequence. So I won't be saying anything because I'm waiting for the reaction or something, or like how something gets DI'd or how a certain combo will get followed up, an edge guard or whatever. You don't have to like be constantly talking because there are slower parts.
Right, absolutely.
But I mean, yeah, it's like true that Melee is a game of so many interactions that there's almost always something that you like. That's also why I think that the top players who commentate at Summit do so well there, because like they're not forced to be stuck into like a standard commentary box where they have to like for the wider viewing audience like set up the scene, sometimes maybe talk a little bit about the general sense of how things are going.
hmm
But they can just focus on these minor interactions, and they can just like, oh, that's cool, I want to talk about that. Oh, look at this. Like IBDW was sick at that at Summit. I was really impressed actually with the way that he talked about tiny interactions.
Right.
Just like the way that he explained them. Sometimes like he would get way too into it, but like that's cool too, right? To be able to see that level of depth.
Right. It boils down to a baseline understanding of the game and neutral and these
Yeah, I mean,
smaller interactions.
I really don't think you should think at all about dead air when you're commentating.
Yeah.
If you're confident with your ability to talk about
Right.
what's happening on screen in an informative and entertaining manner, that
Right.
doesn't make it all about you.
Yeah. I would definitely agree with that.
Word.
So I guess the next part would be what happens when the game is either a stally set or a very low interaction set. How do you approach that?
Yeah, I don't know. This one can go a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Some people like to mock the situation.
I tend to aim
yeah.
towards there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have like this thought about commentary where like, so in general, there's a lot of different ways to commentate. There's a lot of different like focuses that you can put on what you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
So depending on the context of like what's happening on screen, you want to focus like either on you being the entertaining part of it. If the action isn't being that entertaining, then maybe you should pick it up and try to be more.
Mm-hmm.
But if the action is there, then you'd let the action be the entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
If there's an opportunity for you to like maybe like talk about the situation that's happening and be like informative with it, then that's also good to do. I guess there's only so much you can talk about sometimes when it comes to like stalling on stadium or like a Samus and a Puff refusing to approach each other or something like that.
Planking situations.
Yeah. I don't know. It goes like if you just like have more knowledge in general, just about everything. There's always more that you can talk about in these kinds of things, and it's not just in game. Like it's out of game too. Like you know more about the players, you can always talk more about them, or whether or not they do this to each other all the time.
Right. So like understanding
just,
kind of
what
like
led to this happening. Why are we here?
Right. Understand the texture of the match as they were.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. It's a really tough one to deal with. You have to kind of deal with it on a case-to-case basis.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like too often it gets turned into like a negative thing, and like you don't always, it doesn't have to inherently be negative. Like you can try to bring brevity to it or levity.
Mm-hmm.
Levity, I think is what else.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think the general approach is you can be humorous about it, or you can use it as like a stage to set a narrative, which I think Scar and Toph do really well.
Yeah, but sometimes Scar just like calls him lame and calls it.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just fine too. Like it's its own flavor of like.
Right. You call it.
You just have to be careful of it because what you say like colors people's perceptions of it.
Yeah.
That's why I try to remain particularly neutral. Like I don't play bias on. Well, sometimes I play bias on characters a little bit because I fucking hate Marth. But aside from that,
so
like
weird coming from you, dude. You used to love Marth.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And that was before my third eye was open.
Oh my god.
There was actually a moment at Genesis this year where who got cheesed? Meds got super turbo cheesed by I think Shake and Shake.
Oh, I think I did
Meds
see
had
that.
just been outplaying him like the entire set, just like bodying him, and then I think Meds did get a little nervous at the end of the set.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of looked like it, but either way, he lost his stock at a low percent, and then he immediately made a huge mistake. Got cheesed for it, and I was sad. I was like on commentary. I was like, "Oh, that sucks." And some people in chat were like, "Get this fucking commentator out of here! Like he's bullshit." I'm like, "Bro, I commentated that set evenly all the way through, and then right at the end."
I mean, yeah.
Disappointed. I think, maybe it is a little bit of character bias, but at the same time, like, dude, it was fucked up shit. Meds got cheesed so hard. Oh my god.
It's very tough to remain neutral sometimes, I would say.
Yeah.
Especially when
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I do a pretty good job with it.
Avoiding bias
it's
is
hard
tough,
sometimes.
yeah, for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's more important to remain neutral player-wise.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people don't fall behind this, just by nature of people have biases and it's hard to overcome them.
Right.
Biases.
Yeah.
But typically I don't try to like cast negative lights on the players too much.
How do you feel about like
maybe back in the
regional
day
biases?
I used to be more of a dickhead. Like I used to talk shit about Kelly all the time in particular.
Dude.
Only because Chris poisoned my mind, or really poisoned my brain when I was a new player.
I mean, Kelly
he was like beaming lasers into my brain. He was like, "Kells is lame." No, Kells is sick. I'm a huge Kells fan. It's the best Fox ever to do it. I love Kells.
Yeah, King of Chicago.
Chris is the propaganda master. He always calls lame to new players, and then they think it. It's true. I've seen it over generations at this point. Anyway,
Chris has always been like the old man spouting conspiracy theories too, so that's never changed.
he's been around since the dawn of Chicagoland.
Yeah, his
Well,
opinions
not
haven't
not
changed
really.
since then, and his shorts haven't changed since then either.
I think he's got several pairs. He's just worn them all out over the years.
Yeah, they're all tattered, and he's like, I like them. They're my lucky shorts.
They sure are. Yeah, that sounds just like something he would say too.
Yeah. Speaking of local level, you know, a lot of local commentators run into the problem of like being stuck at the regional level. As someone who started off like super local and grinded weeklies, what are some tips that you might have to break out of the regional like pool zone and maybe breaking into like regional top eights or even going as far as getting their first national gig?
Yeah. I don't know, man. That's tough.
It is tough.
There's not an increasing number of slots of people who want to commentate, and the people who are commentating are not really giving up those slots. Like, there's not a lot of commentators who are not showing up to things as frequently these days.
Right.
You know, over the last several years, Scar in particular has gone to fewer things because he is a father and has responsibilities.
Recent
Toast still goes
content
to a ton
creator
of
as
stuff.
well.
Yeah, as of recent. I mean, he's been for a while, but he's
Yeah.
getting back into it. You know, I guess have been some over the years, and when it happens, new people do step up and are given opportunities. But a lot of it just comes down to like timing, and it's like timing isn't just you starting at the right time; it's you being around when the opportunity is available. You know. Like, you've been going to tournaments since like what, 2014, Nick?
We started around the same time, yeah.
Yeah, you and I started. We started some of our first tournaments. We were both at.
Yeah, I think my first commentary gig was with Dr. Piggy, and then my next one was with you. Yeah,
At what,
like
Smash
Wave
and
Dash
Splash or
Wednesday, and then in Exposure, I think, is what we did.
Oh, like
Yeah.
some locals.
Yeah,
Okay.
super locals.
Yeah, I guess that would make. Yeah.
Yeah. So would you?
When I started, I got super lucky.
I think you started in like a transition period when like.
Can I give you like the brief overview? real
Yeah,
quick?
yeah, do it. Yeah, for
I've
sure.
told this story a bunch of times. So it's just, I'm not going to get any kind of. In late 2013, I like started going to locals, and then I started going to every Wave Dash Wednesday in 2014, like early 2014, and there was like a regional in Chicago, near like O'Hara, that was called UFGT.
Yes.
And it was a fighting game series that had been going on for years and years.
Run by Rick
Keats.
Tejado, right?
No, Keats ran it back then, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Keats. I don't even know if Keats was the original person who ran it. Somebody else might have run it before him, but he was running it at the time. And the iteration that was in 2014 was the final one. It was UFGTX. The last tournament they were running, and they ran Melee and PM at it because both were spiking in popularity at the time. And they ran tons of games. They also ran Mystery Game at that because it was a precursor to Combo Breaker.
Yeah.
So it was a 6 series. Like that's one of my favorite memories actually, is that tournament. Because all the guys who I knew from the locals, who I'd been going to locals with for months, because it was a pretty small crowd. Like, I saw the same guys every week, so we were all friends. And there was a bunch of PM players from out of town who showed up. Like K9 was there, and like BGBC came to stream. Yeah, it was like a hype tournament.
Curly, K9 and Oro had a set, right?
They did, yeah. It was really close. They had a couple sets. Actually.
Yeah.
I think they were in grand finals. K9 won that tournament.
Right.
He started figuring out how to gimp Zero Suit Samus out of her tether. That was like it.
What a weird.
And he also cheesed Kells to win a set in that tournament too. Kells was up by so much, and he just got back thrown by Meta Knight. And gimped. It's so funny. Everyone should go watch that set. K9 pops off so hard. Oh my god.
Didn't he
I'll
like
find it
throw
and
the
link it
chair or
later.
something, or like slam the chair?
Yeah, well, he popped off so hard that his chair went flying
Yeah.
backwards. It was awesome.
And Kelly was just
So
laughing
funny.
because it's Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly was just giggling. He was just like didn't know what to do. He's like, okay. Anyway, big aside, but that was a really funny part.
Yeah.
And so I had been doing the open mic commentary at my locals because of Windy City Smash. And at UFGT, Ripple, who is
PM guy.
yeah, he lives in Central Illinois now. I think he's a
Yeah.
long-time Smash player.
Yeah.
He was a brawl player, PM player,
He used to help
pretty good
out
melee
with,
player.
Yeah.
What's that?
He used to help out
What'd you say?
running Show Me Your Moves.
Yeah, he ran it one
Yeah.
year himself. I think he was head TO one year. Oh, and he was also part of the SD Remix team too.
Oh god. He tried to normalize SD Remix.
I mean, SD Remix is pretty cool. So
Yeah.
At that Show Me Your Moves that he ran SD Remix, which was pretty dope. But he knew Gimmer. Gimmer knew him from like the old days, and
He's
they had
super
like an open mic. They didn't have anybody commentating because there weren't really any commentators at UFGTX. We didn't have local commentators very much in Chicago, and they had brought TK Breezy and D1 with like the VGPC squad. So it was Gimmer and those guys, and then like some of the other VGPC production dudes. Although they didn't have many at the time, it was a pretty small operation.
Right. I think in general, like
And,
commentary wasn't that organized back then.
No, I mean it was really casual still back
Yeah.
then. There was no set structure to it because like literally, here's what happened: it was PM pools and the mic was open, and I don't even know who was commentating. Oh, Ripple was. I think it was Ripple commentating, and I was like standing near. I was like at some setups that were near the commentary station, like playing friendlies. I think I was getting my ass beat by Pooch or something, and because we were playing PM, so I know I was losing to Pooch. That's always the case.
Yeah, no, Pooch is just pretty good at that game.
And I like looked over at Ripple, and he was like, "Hey, yeah, come sit down," because he knew that I was doing commentary at like the locals. And Gimmer was like, "Whoa," and Ripple's like, "No, it's all good. Webs is like, I know Webs." And so I sat down. I think it was Apostle actually who was like, "Whoa," but anyway, it was somebody. It was pretty funny. And I did like a set, and then they had me stand for the whole block, and I did some melee, I think, too. So I think I did some PM and melee that day. And then fucking at the end of the day, Gimmer pulled me aside and he asked me, he's like, "Hey, do you want to do top 8 for melee tomorrow?" And I was like, holy shit.
Nice.
So it was like I was 3 months into going to locals when UFGTX happened.
Yeah.
And I did like a block of melee pools. And Gimmer was like, "Yeah, like we don't have anybody for melee top 8 because they already had TK Breezy who was going to do PM with D1. I think D1 did PM. And then they had D1 for melee, but TK didn't do melee back then. So Gimmer just asked me, and I was like, absolutely. But I had my cousin's wedding the next day. So I went to my cousin's wedding, and they had like the ceremony in the morning, and then I hauled ass out to the tournament to commentate. I got there like 30 minutes before I was supposed to go on. Yeah. Which is also why I'm dressed like super nice for it too. Like, all I did was take off my jacket from the wedding, and then I just sat down and commentated.
The suit and tie commentator.
Yeah, it was pretty great. But that's just the story of how I got lucky. Like the timing worked out.
Luck is involved in a lot of times when you make it kind of like to the national level.
Right. Like I was there when I had to be. Like I went to the locals.
Yeah.
And did my commentary. But it was also like way more informal, like you said back then. Like it was easier to break in because there weren't people doing it. Like I kind of started doing it like right away when I started playing. And like I was also like a grinder. Like everybody has that little period in their Smash life where all they want to do is just go to tournaments constantly, or just like play all the time in person at least.
Yeah, the competitive bug.
And I had that right at like probably the middle of 2014, all the way up to the end of 2015, where I just wanted to go to everything all the time. And it was like perfect timing because like I got this early bump from Gimmer, and then what happened was even crazier because I went to a Michigan tournament. Super sweet. Not long after that, and Gimmer let me commentate there too because he remembered me. Well, I mean, like we knew each other. It's not that he just like I was a nobody. Because obviously, like that was within 4 months, I think, of UFGT. It was not long after that because it was just over the summer.
Yeah,
it was like early summer, and UFGT was in spring.
Yeah, like March-ish, I think.
Yeah, April or March, maybe, maybe even May. Like I'm not sure. I can't remember if it was the same weekend as Combo Breaker. Combo Breaker always aims for Memorial Day.
It was Memorial Day. It was in May. Curly W's in chat. He just confirmed.
Oh, what's up, Max? How you doing, bud? But yeah, so that's how it worked out. I got lucky, and Gimmer helped me out. Shout outs to Ripple.
I think something so interesting about commentary is like a lot of it's being like diligent and being at the right place at the right time when you start off. You know?
I mean, you got to be good too.
Yeah, of
Like,
course.
Gimmer asked me to do top 8. Like,
Right.
it
When
wasn't
you,
like I just showed up and did shit.
of
Gimmer was like,
course.
we don't got anybody better. And people liked my top 8 performance too.
Yeah.
I don't
But
I got a
like
lot of
once you
positive
get that
feedback.
baseline level of skill in commentary, a lot of it's just putting yourself out there and being available if someone needs you to. Because I know
Yeah. True.
Parzival actually got his slot at the Big House, which is a notoriously difficult commentary gig to land.
Yeah.
Because he just was able to get it on the side streams and like people liked him, so he stayed on for like an entire block, and like that was his first national experience. You know,
Which big house was that?
I think that was Big House 6.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Big House has done the side streams for a bunch of their
oh yeah,
duration. which has
and
been
like
nice.
even the side streams have great matches to cast. So
Yeah, it's a great tournament.
yeah.
Yep, definitely.
So would you say like
Yeah,
being persistent is very important when you want to kind of break out?
I mean that's dangerous advice to give because like
Of course.
sometimes it's like you can do as much as you can, but sometimes the opportunity is just not available to you.
Right.
Um, you know, again, it was way easier when I did it, but like the same thing happened at Evo 2014 when I did that solo commentary you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
They just were setting up an impromptu side stream, and nobody else was ready to commentate.
You just
So
jump
I
on.
think Blur did like a solo block before me, or after me, and then I did a solo block there too, and we got like amazing sets to commentate. It was like,
Yeah.
just being in the right place.
Right.
And to be fair, I was like looking to commentate too. Like,
Yeah.
I got the taste for it at UFGTX, and I was like, damn, I actually like this a lot.
Yeah. You gotta have that hunger.
So,
you know.
When I was at Super Sweet, I remember I like went up to Gimmer and I was like, hey man, you need to commentate. You guys have any downtime?
Yeah.
Because like, dude, back then, like I remember the Ohio like PGH guys did like a bunch of sets on VGBC. You know, like tons of people at regionals, especially like they didn't like schedule things out as much. I get like next year it was the same kind of thing at Sweet Prologue, which was the follow up to Super Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So they have all the Sweet events. I don't even know. I think they still run those at the University of Michigan. But Sweet, those are like the larger versions.
Of the Michigan. Yeah.
Sweet Prologue was the same kind of thing. It was like, not like a ton of scheduled blocks. There was like, they scheduled some stuff. Actually, they might have scheduled it out at that one. Maybe in 2015 we were already starting to schedule shit. Because they definitely scheduled top 8. No, they didn't. No, they didn't schedule anything. No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So it was like
can't
half getting lucky with like a lack of like structure and like being good enough to where they asked you to stay around as well. Would you say that?
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to just be good enough. You want to be like good.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of it's confidence
Mhm.
and like not just confidence like in like false confidence, but actually knowing like that you're saying something worth saying.
Right.
I don't know. Every time I start talking about this too much, I start to feel like I'm just patting myself on the back. Like,
I mean, it's hard
really
because it's almost like I've been talking to Jake Spear about this as well, but I know Jake and I have pretty similar thoughts on this. But like commentary is oftentimes it's like performing, you know.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like Jake relates it to show business and auditioning and whatnot. At least the process as it stands today. It's just putting yourself out there and being confident in your own skills, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I did make a reel at one point. You have a reel, don't you? Did you
I
make
do have a reel. It's very degenerate.
You just have one reel?
I made it. I'm probably gonna add more onto it. But yeah, as it stands, I have one reel.
Evo, 1 year you had to make a reel to apply. I think it was 2016.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
was like,
in general, having a reel helps out at least with the commentary selection process a lot. It makes
yeah, I
stuff
guess
so
if you
much
think about it
easier.
from like an administrative perspective,
Yeah.
especially.
It's so much
makes it
easier to just
easier.
look at a reel.
Yeah, yeah, definitely not a bad thing to do.
Yeah.
But, No, I'll call you a tryhard if you
All right, Mr. 10-minute
dumbest.
reel.
It's the dumbest insult of all time.
Yeah,
is to call
dude,
someone a
dude, your
tryhard.
reel's hella long. What do you mean?
I know. Yeah, trust me. I think I was being ironic.
Yeah. Something that I really think sticks out about like your work on commentary is your willingness to put in the research beforehand. You're definitely one of the commentators that comes to mind when I think of someone that really knows like regional history and local matchups. So what does I know I've asked this already, but what does it look like when you're studying regional matchups and up and comers? Is it mostly just watching Twitch tournaments and reviewing brackets after, or do you get like involved in it?
Yeah. Well, so it's changed over time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I used to watch like all the locals.
Yeah, you were
Like, I,
you were a
like
stream
every night
monster.
I would have locals on. Like,
Yeah.
I would be playing like, I don't know, what was I playing back? I would be playing like Hearthstone or Counter Strike, and I'd be tabbing out to like check how
Mhm.
brackets were progressing, or like if there was like a set I wanted to watch or something. I might have been playing League ARAMs back. Oh, that was a dark time.
ARAMs, yeah, it sounds like a dark
I
time.
hate ARAMs. Um, but so it was easy. Like I didn't even think about it back then. Yo, that was actually another. That's a good reminder. That was another reason why they liked my performance at U of GTX was because I knew everybody.
Yeah, I think that's
And
kind
like,
of your X factor too. It's like
you think? Oh yeah, that I just like know a ton of shit.
yeah, like the I think every commentator like is that's at the top level has like two or three like one or two things that really separates them. And I think like in terms of like regional and local knowledge and just general history, I think you are probably at the top of the game right now.
Yeah, maybe not right now. Well, I
Well,
don't know.
well, you came
I'm getting
up
back into
because you
it.
were at the top of the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I for a long time it was just easy to keep track of stuff, and I did used to actually look ahead at brackets.
Mm-hmm.
Like in 2014, I was more focused on understanding the game better
Mm-hmm.
because I was such a scrub still. Um, and what that led to was that me not actually understanding how to play better, but just getting better at like paying attention to what was happening and understanding, what had happened in the game. Because that's really like my job is to unpack things that happened and talk about those things, right? At like the bare level. But 2015, and like even then, like I was watching like a ton of stuff. I had a bunch of passive knowledge. But in 2015, when I would go to tournaments, I would look once the pools and stuff got released. I would look ahead at like certain matchups, just get little bits of information about stuff. I was really grinding back then.
Yeah.
I don't do that shit anymore.
I mean,
Sometimes,
you're a busy guy. You got a full time job and everything.
yeah, like sometimes I will look ahead like day of, like
Do your research.
this recent big house I did that actually, because I was a little bit out of the loop on some of the melee stuff at that point. So I did look things up for the most recent big house, and sometimes I won't even do it intentionally. Like it'll just be like I'm just interested to see what kind of matchups are coming up. But one thing that's really helped out is that I know the right people to talk about because it's way easier to like learn about all this stuff like with other people. If you have other people to talk about results with and like engage, then it's more fun because like
Right.
it's not that it's like a chore or like a task. Like you have other people who are also interested in like it's like being a fan of like a sports team where like you can bond with it over somebody else because you're both interested in like.
So who would you say is like the person that you would talk the most about back then?
Back then,
Yeah.
I mean it's pretty much
changed,
always
huh?
just been Discord servers.
Oh, okay.
It's been different servers. Like over the last year now, probably year and a half, it's been the Melee Stats Discord.
Right. They're
that's pretty
huge.
much.
Yeah.
That's where I go to talk about Melee with people if I'm interested in local results. Because typically there's somebody talking in there about like a local that's happening or reporting results or whatever.
Right.
So like I'll just check that out, and if there's stuff that I care about more, like I'll actually watch a local every once in a while if I have time. But I just don't follow it the way that I used to, so it's a little more difficult. I suppose that what it boils down to, what I'm trying to get at the end of the day, what I've been saying through all of this, is that if you have a genuine interest, then you'll just like know. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like I just really have been interested in Melee. Like, I have had periods over the last couple of years where I have not been into it as much because I'm focused on other things. But when I, am focused on Melee and I have the time for it, the energy, then I just know stuff about the scene because I like the details of it. It's interesting.
Another perfect segue, Webs.
Nice.
Let's
go.
Let's break the news to anyone that doesn't know already. But like FGC commentary, especially Melee commentary, is like a passion project rather than a full time job, right? You don't do it for the
Yeah.
money. Yeah. I can't tell you
Yeah.
how many events I've gone to where like, man, I like even if they pay me, like I come out net negative. It's just it ends up being like a cheap trip rather than like something to make money off of, you know?
That's how I've always looked at it. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
look at how much cheaper my trip is than these other
Right.
people.
It's like oh, this major's like
Still
I
costing
guess,
me money.
Yeah, this major I only had to pay like $200 instead of like a $500 trip or whatever.
Yeah, that's sick. That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
to save.
sick, dude. So I guess what I wanted to ask you from this was, what's your favorite part of the job? Knowing that you only do what you do because you genuinely enjoy it. That's a tough
I
question.
don't know, man. I guess I just really like talking about Melee.
Yeah.
It's quite fun. Yeah. Sometimes I will have periods where I will commentate, and I'll feel like I never really got into it. You know, like I wasn't interested in what was going on screen as
Definitely.
much. Or, yeah, you can't always be on. But most of the time, like I'll usually find something interesting to focus on. It's such a unique game in that you'll always find something that, at the very least, was unexpected, even if you have seen it before. You know, it might happen in a way that you didn't expect, or at a time you didn't expect, or something. So there'll always be something that, and then since it's also been around so long, there's so much context to what's happening too. That also, informs what is interesting about it.
Right.
Like, you can think back to the way that people used to approach certain matchups and compare it to the way that a matchup is being played today. And even if, we've seen Zane do the 0 to death a million times on FT, like, you can see the evolution of how it's changed.
Right.
Like, for instance, I was paying really close attention to people's Smash DI at Summit this time around. Dude, everybody's Smash DI is insane.
It's getting
This was
to a
the first-
point. It looks almost task level. It's kind of disgusting.
This was the first event that I saw where consistently, like, the majority of the players who were there were hitting insane SDI.
Yeah.
Like, dude, IBDW's SDI is actually crazy. That
He
guy.
SDI'd out
He's
of a
getting-
like a nair like a Marth nair one time. Like he SDI'd
Yeah.
up and got a huge punish from it. I forget the exact moment.
he gets out of Nair pretty consistently.
Yeah.
Well, not too consistently because it is a whole mix-up.
Right.
But, like, he's talked about how you can SDI down out of the first hit of Marth Nair and then get below Marth as Fox
Aklo does that.
and punish him for that. Yeah, that is so sick.
Yeah.
Like, that's filthy. But yeah.
So like, would you say following the progression and being like directly involved and like bringing that?
There's
experience
just
to
so
other
much
people?
information
Right.
that goes into a game of Melee.
Yeah.
There's so much informing it from a past perspective. There's so much that's happening in the interactions on screen at such a detail that there's just so much that you can think about and talk about it. I just like Melee a lot.
Yeah. I mean, 2020 is going to be even bigger, so I'm really excited to see.
I especially like Melee when it's played fast.
it. Yeah.
I have an appreciation for some of the slower matchups. Actually, one of my favorite sets I got to commentate at Genesis was Fishbait versus Leighton this year.
Leighton
Fishbait
the
upset
Puff.
Leighton. Yeah,
Yeah.
Fishbait beat him with Peach. It's crazy.
Ooh. Puff Peach is an interesting matchup to commentate. It can go either way in terms of like.
It was
you
a crazy
approach it.
set.
Yeah.
Leighton just like wants to go at people all the time, and he just got rocked for it a little bit. And it was still close. And they played on like small stages, and they just played like super aggressive. But
Nice. Okay.
it's just cool.
Yeah. I mean, there's something for everyone. I think.
Yeah, I'm just being honest. Like, I just have to be honest when I say that I like the faster part of Melee better.
Of course,
I'm
I
not
think
just
everyone
gonna lie and
likes
be
it
like,
better.
"Oh, I love like very slow campy
Yeah.
matches."
Love it when they time.
They
each
have their
other out.
place, and some people do really like them, but I'm just gonna tell the truth,
Dude,
they can get boring sometimes.
I'm super transparent when it comes to boring matches myself. I don't like. There was a House of. I don't want to get too off topic, but there's a House of Pain where it was Michael Prince Abu winners finals, Michael
hell yeah.
Prince Abu grand finals, and then a bracket reset till game like 15.
Dude, that's that good shit.
So
That's what you want.
there was like there was an intermission, like Prince Abu took like 2 bathroom breaks, and I like considered quitting. I was like, I hate this. This is the worst. Like,
Yeah.
it was like an hour and a half.
It's like when Prince played Lod. You remember when Prince played Lod at the House of Pain?
Yeah, it was actually such a sick set.
Yeah, that was a good set.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that was another really good Peach Puff set.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Something that's a little bit more yes or no question. Do you do any kind of vocal exercises to get that silky smooth voice? Or are you just working with what your mama gave you?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think my mom's voice is this deep.
I would hope not. That'd be insane, dude.
Yeah, deep voice. No, it's just my natural voice. Like, it's
Yeah.
just how I talk.
Do you think you have like a specific broadcasting voice? Because I feel like you're generally
speak
super
differently
comfortable and
when I-
conversational.
Yeah, are you saying that? Do you think I change my speech pattern or like my
Yeah.
voice when I commentate? I try not to too much.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you kind of do, because like commentary can be a bit of a rhythm thing where you kind of go like da 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 da
Mhm.
da da. Talk about this thing happened. Oh, in here, but like I think I do try to keep it pretty conversational. I'm comfortable like cutting myself off when I see something more important talking or I'm in a thought that I realize is not really worth finishing.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually really hate when people just take turns like talking for the exact same amount of time on commentary. That's like, it pisses me off. So I do try to just like talk, in a more casual sense.
Mm-hmm.
It might literally just be my voice that makes me sound like.
I mean,
I'm not trying to like act like a broadcast personality.
I mean, you got that general cadence of someone that, has that kind of experience.
I used to read out loud to myself a lot when I was a kid.
Well, maybe that's where you started.
Maybe that could be it. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just because I was practicing from a very young age.
The anime origin story.
For real.
Couple recent questions that I added in last minute. With the Smash World Tour just being announced.
Yeah, I saw that. That happened
Yeah.
like
a couple
an hour and a
hours
half
ago.
or something.
Yeah.
Two
The
and a half
future of
hours.
Melee looks pretty incredible. 2020 is probably gonna be an amazing year. What are you most excited for, and what events can we expect to see you at?
I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm going to. I don't have a ton of PTO time with my company, and I used a ton of it at the beginning of the year to go to Genesis and Smash
Mm-hmm.
Summit. So I know that I'm planning on going to Full Bloom.
House of Pain.
I haven't. House of Pain? It was just coming up. Yeah, like weekend stuff that I can go to regionally
Right.
is fine because I don't have to take time off for it, so I'll
Mhm.
go to that stuff.
Quick trip down.
Those are two perfect examples. Going to a House of Pain, which did you know this is the first House of Pain I'm ever going to?
I do know that actually.
Okay, good. I'm glad that
We've
you
been
know.
trying to get you for a while now.
I know. I haven't even been going to Smime as much. It's just the timing has been bad.
Yeah, I mean, Champagne's it's a bit of a trip, so I don't blame
Yeah,
you.
it could be worse.
Yeah.
I used to drive to fucking Ann Arbor.
Yeah, you went to
like,
Michigan. Yeah.
once a month, dude. I used to go out there all the time.
Yuck.
Yeah,
like
and
a
that
sick-
is a trek. That's like 4.5 hours.
Yeah, that's a long ass drive.
Maybe not quite that much. Maybe slightly less. Still. So yeah, I got those coming up. I'm probably gonna go to Gomel.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really looked actually at what tournaments are on the Smash World Tour. Do you know? Do you have that? front of you?
Yeah, so there's something that stuck out to me is that there's like the people that ran Royal Flush are doing Double Down, which is going to be a Vegas tournament.
Was that Reno's tournament?
I think so.
Let's go. All right.
Yeah. So
Oh shit!
I'm
All right, I just
probably
opened
gonna
up the
get there.
Smash.gg page for this.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to crash soon. There's so much traffic going in.
Oh
But,
my god, they have all these levels of tournaments.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like something
platinum
that
through silver 32.
it reminds me somewhat of like, I mean, it's not really because it's like not the same amount of like funding that goes behind it, but it's like TWT in a way where like there's tiers
Right.
of events. But the funding
There's
is
gonna be some
something that we're going
arguments
to talk about with other
about-
TOs as well, so we'll see. I definitely want to have this conversation with some TOs on a future podcast.
So, oh my god, Pound is April 3rd. That's like so close.
It's very soon. I don't think
The
I'm gonna be
fuck?
able to make it. It's so
I'm
soon.
not going to Pound. Hell no. CEO Dreamland, that's in March. Not going to that. Oh, okay. They have a link to all of the Melee events.
Hmm.
Oh, Gommel. Yeah, so,
Yeah, Gommel's
all right,
on
if
it.
Gommel's one of them, then I'll be there. It's pretty dope. I mean, I've gone to Gommel and not commentated several times, too.
Hmm.
So, like, there's a chance I go to Gommel and just didn't commentate. But I'm going to that tournament, so we'll see. Alright. These are all the Melee turns?
Yeah.
9 events?
I mean, there's gonna be more
God.
added because you can apply for like silver tier or whatever depending on your event.
These are all platinum?
They're all the confirmed
No.
events. Some of them are not platinum.
Some of
I'm
these are
pretty
not
sure.
platinum.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to say
Right.
Battle of BC, probably not platinum.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, as of this list goes, I'm only really going to Gommel. As far as other tournaments, chance to go to Big House. I wanted to go to Don't Park this year, so I've been meaning to go to that, and I really want to. But I don't know if it's going to work out timing-wise. We'll see.
Yeah. Traveling's always tough.
Yeah. So we're also just going to see, like, because I have, like, 2 non-Smash events coming up over the summer that I have to use PTO time for.
Uh huh.
And then I'll be using some for Gommel. And then I'm just going to see how much I have left, I guess. And if I have enough, then I'll go to, like, another major. Or another, like, out-of-region tournament.
And
But
then
if not,
I'm assuming we're gonna see like another Webs hibernation after that.
it just happens. Sometimes I don't go to anything for several months because,
Yeah.
like, this is, like, I do this for fun. Like, I love going to Smash tournaments and, like, playing Smash and commentating and stuff. But, like,
Life comes
It's-
first.
it is not a job for me. It is
It's not a job for most people.
It's a hobby for me,
Yeah.
primarily.
Yeah.
Which I love doing, and like I'm glad to contribute, and I'm so glad that everyone enjoys, hearing. It does mean a lot to me.
Yeah. And the community seems to love the work that you've put in. So
I appreciate that.
props to you, man.
I don't really say that. Like most people, like when they get positive feedback, they'll go on Twitter and they'll be like, "Yo, thanks for all the positive support" or whatever. Maybe it's ungrateful of me that I don't like tweet those things ever, but I just hate tweeting shit like that. I would just rather tweet obscure memes that I think are funny.
I mean, that might be part of your persona as well, you know?
I mean, I say thanks to some people, and I like fave tweets that people send in.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, you got to say thanks now, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, word. For sure.
Yeah. We actually just got a question from chat, if you're willing to
Okay,
answer.
yeah, we could do some chat questions. if you
Yeah,
want.
yeah.
Should I open up chat? I don't know.
I could pull them
I've
up
had
for
it
you.
closed this whole
Yeah.
time.
So there's a question for both of us. I'll let you go first, but is there a reason why the same people call all the big events? I know Webs was at Summit, but I meant at like Genesis, etc.
Like the same people work the same.
Yeah.
big events?
I mean this seems like a pretty cut and dry answer, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just that that's just proven for large events.
Mhm.
I mean, I actually don't. I've never been on the like scheduling side of that, like ever. This would be a great question for Fendrick Lamar
Yeah.
if you were around.
Jake could probably answer this as well.
Yeah, Jake Spear would be great for this too because he's also done actually a fair amount of.
Yeah, he
commentary
talks about the
management
Infinity
at this
Gauntlet
point.
of trying to manage a lot of events.
Yeah. Yeah, but like there's big names that people are used to, and like you go back to those time and time again just because they've proven that they've been solid.
Mhm.
And the people who are scheduling them also, just make the final decision at the end
Yeah.
of the day too. So it's really just up to them.
And it's
Same
also,
kind of people who run these events. So.
Yeah. It's also like,
Go ahead.
from my perspective, it's a lot like the interview process for like a job, you know? If you have a proven
Like
resume,
experience-wise.
yeah, like experience-wise, when we're talking about the higher value positions, like a top 8, top 64 block, it's like why would an event manager take a risk on a commentator that's only done like a few events or like hasn't really proven themselves when they have a pool of super qualified people that they
Yeah.
can choose from. I mean, it can differ because different events have different commentary budgets that they're willing to pay out for. So like obviously like the larger commentators will be, having a bit different rate than someone that does regionals or locals, you know. So there's a numerous amount of factors that go into it, but the main thing that I think they consider is like the safety in picking someone that has a proven track record. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That
Yeah.
tracks for sure. I mean, you said earlier too that Big House is like the event that's like the hardest to get on, and it's because like there's not even like an open application process
Yeah,
for
there's
it. Right?
not. You're
They just
chosen.
like message people like, "Hey, come to our event," because they have that level where they can just like
Yeah.
ask the best talent to come.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like I think Full Bloom's not having an open application process either.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Why's
yeah,
that?
I think that was the only question from chat actually.
Word.
But we'll end on one final question. It'll be kind of open ended, so you answer it however you like. But is there anything? Oh. No, I'm ignoring Aaron. Is there anything in particular that you'd like to speak out on about commentary? And I know you have so much to say, so just go wild. This is your
Just like
platform now.
anything I want to talk about.
Anything you want to
commentary
say,
right now.
man.
All right, I'll go to the one I usually do with people when they ask me as like a new commentator.
Sure.
Like, what they should do to get better as a commentator.
Mm-hmm.
I always just tell them like, if you're asking yourself that question, you have to ask why you're asking yourself that question. Because like, especially I remember when we used to have the Friday weeklies at WIT Gaming in Chicago.
Oh, I remember those.
There was a ton of these like really young suburb kids who would show up to those, and they would like several of them on different occasions asked me about commentary, and like they're like, oh, it's really cool that you like do commentary or whatever at these big events. How do you like how do you get like better at doing commentary just in general? Because I want to do that too. So I'm like, why? Like if you're not going to like understand your motivation for doing it, like good commentary I feel like comes from a place of you actually caring about doing a good job on it or caring about what's happening on screen, right? If you're doing it for yourself or being like selfish about it in a way that like because you want to be a personality, like that's what you desire,
Right.
then like typically you're not going to provide good commentary because your emphasis and focus and
Passion's not
what-
there.
yeah, exactly. It's in the wrong place. So the big question you have to ask first and foremost is like, am I commentating for a reason that is authentic? If I'm commentating because I'm using it to leapfrog onto something else, then I feel like you're doing it for the wrong reason and that you should probably reevaluate. But you can do it for that reason too, as long as you know that's your goal to get out of it. Like go ahead and try to use it as a stepping stone.
Yeah, I think something that I can say to deter anyone that's trying to clout chase from commentary is like the market is not there. It's very much a value added field. Like, would you agree?
Yeah, if you're gonna cloud chase, just do it by like being a charismatic person.
Yeah, just make content.
Yeah, just make friends with like people who are influencers in whatever scene that you're in.
Yeah.
That's how you get clout, bro.
It's
You can just,
something
like,
else.
segue it into some other bullshit.
Yeah.
If you're trying to do it in Smash by being like a famous commentator, like there's other ways.
Like, what are you doing, man?
just-
It's like you're trying to clout chase in a field. It's like you're clout chasing in a field of like 20 people in one room. You're trying to be the coolest person in that room.
That's it. Don't do it.
Yeah, there's no point. You're just wasting your time. Yeah.
You need a cap cloud. like salary cap in sports.
Yeah,
Everybody
definitely.
in esports has a certain cap on how much cloud they get.
Yeah,
That
because
point
even
there.
if you make it big in esports, you're still gonna be like a C-list celebrity. Just think.
Exactly.
About it. Yeah, and there's very few people that actually reach that level. So, you should be
I do
doing it
have
because you
a-
enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I went to so many tournaments from 2014 to 2016, and I lost so much money doing it. Well, lost money is the wrong way to put it. I spent so much money.
Yeah, you were in the red for the majority of it.
Yeah. Very few times did I come home having earned more money than I left with. just like if you're gonna commentate, you should be commentating because you enjoy it and you're bringing value to it.
And it shows in the quality of your commentary as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know if there's much else I can say about it.
Well, that's a perfect place to cut it off then, man. I appreciate you taking the time, Mike.
Yeah, no problem, man. I love talking about this kind of stuff. So
Yeah, man. I would
anytime
definitely be down
somebody's
to have
trying
you
to-
on future episodes as well. I think
Yeah.
a TriCast situation will be nice as well.
future episodes.
Yeah,
I'll come
future
on,
episodes, man.
And I'll just like be belligerently drunk. And you'll be interviewing other people, and I'll just be shouting about like unrelated things in the background,
Yeah, it sounds like Friday night, dude.
just disrupting the situation.
But yeah, I think that about wraps it up. I think we're going to play the outro music, and we will see you guys next week on our next episode of Co-Commentary.
Follow me on Twitter.
Follow Webs on Twitter at WebsSmash. We will be back next Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Central. Our next guest is a top 50 player, SSBM Zamu. I'll see you guys soon. Take it easy.